Well, Paula was just down here filling these bird feeders, and then all of a sudden she grabbed one of my air guns. Oh, here she comes. And Dr. Paula, what have you got in your hand there?
A skunk.
And you shot him, I assume.
I sure did.
Now, that's an Avenger, and I've got that in 22. It's got the regulator on it. I loved it, so I got the 25, and you got the 25. Now, how did you keep this thing from stinking the place up? Because I don't smell anything.
Well, I shot him in the head first, and then 2 shots in the side, and he was gone.
Okay, that headshot did it. He didn't have a time to even think about spraying anybody. Well, you were just out here filling bird feeders, and you must have seen him. He was, what, heading back over to the neighbor's?
Yep, yeah.
I think he probably lives under there. And why do you consider this skunk a destructive critter?
Because when we let our dogs out at night, all they do is want to go and attack this skunk that they can find. And the stink is awful, and if it gets on the dogs, you have to use peroxide, baking soda, and some Dawn dish soap. You cannot put water on them. If you put water on it, that just enhances the smell, and I found out the hard way. It stunk up the house for a couple months, and I couldn't get rid of that smell, and I wasn't gonna try it again this time. He's gone.
Well, I'm looking over your shoulder here, and a lot of deer and critters can be camouflaged in those woods, but when you're black and white, it's a little bit hard to do that.
Yep, here's your dinner for tonight.
No, not my dinner. No, I eat anything except skunk.
Okay.
And you use this path, this secret path that we have to get down the hill. Well, I'm going to head back up onto the deck where I'm preparing for our next video. Well, welcome to another air rifle adventure, a Dr. Russ air rifle adventure. You've already seen my sweet wife taking out a destructive critter, and that's not what this video is about. It's about accuracy, and we're going to get there in a second. But since we started the video out with her impromptu shot of a skunk, and by the way, they've got a very small head, and the only way you can get those things and not have the smell is you've got to do a headshot. There's all kinds of destructive critters. You live all over, our viewers live all over the world, almost 1 million of you, and you've got different destructive critters. Some of you up in Alaska have bears. Certainly there's wolves in Canada, Alaska, but even here we have foxes and we have coyotes. And so we're very mindful of destructive critters, and an air gun is very, very helpful with that silent shot, year-round availability. You need accuracy, of course, but we have it. Now, that being said, there's all kinds of destructive critters. There's the medium size, which is the woodchuck, the squirrels, the raccoons. Now, squirrels and raccoons can get into your attic. They not only make a lot of noise up there, and the squirrels can race around there at night keeping you awake, but they also, those medium size, they pee and they poop and can create quite an odor up there. You got to replace some insulation when that happens. Air guns can take care of those critters. Then we have the smaller ones, mice, rats. They can become a problem as well. Field mice, chipmunks. If they're putting a bunch of holes, if they're squeezing in through every crack and crevice in your house, soffits, vents, you may want to take them out too. And then I should at least say a moment about the really small critters. We're talking about spiders, termites, carpenter ants, centipedes. They like to get into that house through all those cracks and crevices as well. So probably 4 times a year, believe it or not, I'm sprinkling I feel like I'm Johnny Appleseed out there, but I'm sprinkling some poisons around the house, some in some corners, all in an effort to take them out, because I don't want them in the walls. I don't want them chewing away at the wood and downgrading this house as fast as it wants to upgrade. Okay, let's get off of destructive critters. I'm not a witch today. Tomorrow is Halloween, and today I'm a warlock. And in an effort to always have a different hat, this is what you get today. Now, small critters isn't all about taking them out with an air gun. There's all kinds of critters. This can be a destructive critter, bats. They haven't been destructive here. They haven't found a way to get into our attic. So I have this bat house, and one of my projects this week is to hang it, because they can take out a lot of mosquitoes and bugs that are in the air. They need this little mesh down here and this slot to get up into this bat house. None of this opens up. Good cedar wood that won't deteriorate anytime soon. But between this and feeding a lot of birds, we do our best to feed some critters too. Accessories, all kinds of accessories. I could never do all kinds of accessories. I could never do a program on them. Just there's way too many. All of them. There's way too many. Help us. But accessories help us with our passions with air guns. With the comfort. For example, like a sling on a rifle. I like a sling on a rifle. Air guns don't come with slings. Most air guns don't come with slings, swivels, and that means I've got to get the swivels, and that means I've got to get a sling to carry it easily into the field. From your backyard. If you're just going to shoot from your backyard, you probably don't need another passion, of course. Another passion, of course, is accuracy, and that's really what I want to talk about today. And we use some accessories, and we use some accessories with that to really help ourselves with that accuracy. Found this picture today. When it comes to accuracy, you can be very sharp and be a tiger. And if you're not so accurate, you're just a plinker. Well, then maybe you're not quite a tiger. Accessories, but whatever, accessories can play a big role. I think scopes are a big factor when it comes to accuracy. And I used to get a lot of refurbished scopes from Field Supply and right from Crossman. But lately I've been getting scopes that are brand new, cheaper than refurbished, and I get them from CV Life. Now, I have the catalog, and the next time you order, and you get a 15% discount out of the catalog here if you put Russ 15 with your order. But I just want you to see, because I get all kinds of questions about what scopes to get for what air guns. And as you can see here, they've got all kinds of scopes. And I want to make it abundantly clear that the one for you is the one that you can afford, because there's some expensive scopes here, and there's some very inexpensive, I think down to about $30. And then you still get that discount I was talking about. But as you order a scope, just keep something in mind besides what you can budget for it. This front part of the scope, the bigger it is, the more light that it lets in. This, of course, is just a flipper that keeps the lens clean. This tube Can be 1 inch up to 34. This happens to be 34. I'm setting this rifle up for a deer hunt this fall. I had a viewer come in and say, now the bigger the barrel here of a scope is really to give you more space for lineage adjustments for, say, a long-range shot. That may be true. I don't design scopes. I'm not an engineer of scopes. But I believe that, for me at least, the bigger the front objective lens is, lets in more light, the bigger the tube allows that light to pass back to the rear where you can adjust magnification. And you want low magnification because the higher the magnification shrinks the field of view. And I can see a deer, and if I had it on, in this case, 26 power, man, trying to find it is difficult. But if I have it set down low, I think the lowest on this is 6, I can find that animal quickly. And sometimes you want to be operating just as quickly as you can. So that rear lens, and those are the basics. Of course, changing the crosshairs is very important. Changing, if you have a battery here, to make the crosshairs different colors, those are all just extras that make it more expensive. I have it only because those trophy animals move early morning, late night, and lit up crosshairs help me. Well, let's just take a look at some iron sights and then some scope sights for accuracy. Here's some iron sights. And remember, you have the back, you have that front post, and that pellet, that bullet is going to hit right on that. We call it a pumpkin on a post. It's a small dot, but it's right on top. And this front post has to be equal to this back. Now the point is, you can move this left and right. And for range, some of them allow the post to rise and fall. Others don't. Sometimes you might have to, for say a real long shot, be looking further out. But let's take a look at these crosshairs of a scope for a moment. Here we have the crosshairs. Now the first thing you do with accuracy is you've got to have a good group. So let's just say this group is over here at 4 o'clock. And that means the gun is shooting over here. That means that the scope should be here, but it's not. So what do? We want to move these crosshairs to the right, to here. And we want to move this to the right, here, and here. And in doing so, we do clicks. Now all these scopes talk about how 1 click is 1/4 of an inch at 100 yards. Well, maybe with an air gun, you're not shooting at 100 yards. Maybe you're shooting at 25 or 30. Maybe you're shooting at 50, 75, 100. So that instruction on clicks at 100 yards may not be for you. What you'll want to do is click to the right and click down to get your crosshairs there. You've got to get a good group, but then you want to move the crosshairs there. And that's going to just be a little bit of guesswork. You're going to have to click some and see just how far with 4 clicks, 6 clicks did I move it. And then go from there until you move your crosshairs right to there. And once you've done that, you're in good shape. The same would be true over here if we have a grouping here. We've got to move this to the right, and we've got to make some adjustment with that front post to come down. Let's also think about a red dot. If this is the red dot and our groups are here, the same thing is true. On the red dot, we have to go to the right and we have to come down to put the red dot right there. A little guessing by golly, but it doesn't take as long as you might think. And boy, is that gun sweet once you have. Now in the red dot world, when it comes to powder guns, we typically only think of red dots, like this one here, to be used on pistols and scopes on rifles. Not necessarily true with air guns. Red dots have a problem, and that is that red dot can cover the whole target at 75 yards. So what you have to do is, if you're using your air rifle for short range, probably a red dot will be fine. If, however, you're using the red dot for a pistol, that would be the more appropriate thing. We're talking 30 yards or less, and the red dot doesn't seem to bother it. This is the Vanix 30 caliber. I shot that not long ago. Interestingly, here comes the Vanix X, Viper X, and it's 17, 22, 25, but it doesn't go to 30. I'll come back to that in a minute. And this is the new Velox from Hatsan, and it only goes up to 25 caliber. Now I brought these three handguns out for a reason, and that is this. When it comes to mounting, most red dots are going to be for a 22 or 20 millimeter Picatinny rail along here. That doesn't look like a 20 caliber Picatinny. It actually is. Hatsan has a rail that fits both. I kind of like that. So here's the Picatinny way out here on the side, and then the smaller 10 millimeter on the top. Some of your air guns, are particularly the 17 caliber, are going to have just a 10 millimeter, and your large bore are typically going to have the larger one. One of the nice things that Hatsan has is a rail that does both. Vanix did something interesting. This is the 20 millimeter Picatinny rail and fits this CV Life red dot very nicely. But the moment you go to the 25 caliber Viper X, this rail is only 10 millimeter. Now when that happens, and you're dealing with an air gun with 10 millimeter versus one with say 20, you're going to have one of these conversion pieces. And as you can see, it fits the 10 millimeter, and a couple of screws tighten it up, and here on top we have the 20 millimeter. And a lot of you are going to have to use this if you're going to have a good scope up on top of that gun, or a good red dot. So keep in mind this Picatinny. This runs about, I think, $11 with CV Life, and then you get a 15% discount. You can also find these on eBay, but very, very, very helpful. As long as I'm talking about Picatinny rails, you might have a small Picatinny, and maybe you need a large one, particularly on a rifle. So here's one that extends. It mounts to the small, but it provides a large Picatinny. I think I got this from eBay. Let's go back to these pistols for just a moment. This Velox, I thought it came with a suppressor. This is not a suppressor. For one thing, it doesn't have a hole on the other end, nor does this one. What this is a spare compressed air tube. Kind of nice, just screw one on, screw one off. Where the Vanix, they come for our viewers with a suppressor that comes out on here if you want it, and that's what this knurled knob here is, that protects that screw-on part. Let me talk about discounts for a moment. You already know that at CV Life you get a 15% discount. That's one of the things I work for, really. A 15% discount on any CV Life product out of the catalog. I neglected to say last week when I was doing this video on these water blasters that T238, that's that one that turns it into a suppressor, puts a tracer light into the rounds. Really pretty neat. This too, I negotiated an 8% discount. So if you put Russ 8 with your T38 mortaring, you get that. When you order from Evanics, particularly when you order from Jacob, and Evanics does not offer these phenomenal guns through your big pyramid and the Airgun Depot, etc. You have to go to very specialized dealers, and Jacob Jensen has one of those. And if you mention Russ in your order, you'll get that suppressor. But for the moment, I just want you to remember, do you need a conversion piece or not based upon the gun if you're going to pursue your passion for more accuracy and you're going to get a scope or you're going to get a red dot. I mentioned how you can get this extended Picatinny rail. Here's another one I got off of eBay, and this fits right at the bottom of an air gun, particularly if you have a Picatinny rail on the bottom, and maybe you have one for the a bipod, maybe you have a little longer one. But this is I haven't found the gun to put it on yet, and I've got about just over 100 air guns now. But this can mount to the bottom, and now gives you a Picatinny accessory here that allows you to maybe add a laser beam or a flashlight or something else on the end of the gun. So keep that in mind. As we talk about different accessories to pursue your passions, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that two of my accessories are these Loctites. Now, if you get the red one here with this white top, I mean, it really locks it on. You get the blue, it's kind of a medium tightness. But you're going to want that on any air gun you have, because that shock ultimately loosens up all the screws, particularly brake barrels. So use Loctite, and definitely use it on scopes and scopes rings. Now, let me talk about scope rings for a moment. I haven't installed these yet, but I think this is kind of interesting. Here's a scope ring. I found it on the internet, but look here at these. Now, they're made of plastic, but they might be just fine for air guns. But what it does is these pieces of plastic, which goes with the scope, can accommodate a variety of tubes, from, like I say, the 30 millimeter, 1 inch, up to the 34. Another interesting thing about this one, again, I haven't tried it, but if you look right where my finger is, it can lift that scope ring even higher. See those little tiny grooves there? You loosen the screw, and you can mount this even higher if your cheek piece here is not sufficient. So I've got it. I haven't tried it yet, but it should be interesting. I'll let you know how it works out for me. I put this CV Life red dot right here on my most expensive handgun. This is the Evanics 30 caliber, and I just want you to I'll be dealing with some very inexpensive red dots in a moment, but I want you to see this expensive one. First of all, it is activated by motion. Now, one of the problems I've had, maybe you don't have this, but I've run the batteries out, leaving these things on, not realizing it. This one, you can't do that. This turns on when you pick it up and start moving it around, and once it's not been used for a while, it goes back off. It's got an on and off button at the top for you, of course, and it has a nice high-rise Picatinny rail mount. It also has a battery to keep that red dot just as bright as possible. And what I can show you is it's this one right here. There's the number on it, AA 1071 100. But it's listed in the catalog. It happens to be the most expensive. Now I'll show you the lesser expensive. Another CV Life red dot that I like. It's this particular one here. It has 4 different reticles, so when I look through, it's just not a red dot, but it has some crosshairs in 4 different configurations. And one of the nice things is that all red dots come with their own mounting piece, at least from CV Life they do. This one's just $43 and I like it a lot. This one over here is even more interesting. This one has a laser and a red dot combined along with this particular mount. And all it needs is this small space on a pistol to mount up. Here's another particularly good one from CV Life. It's 4 power, and the objective lens here is 32 millimeter. But it does have a battery to light up the crosshairs, and it has fixed sights. So you can use the fixed sight, you can use the scope. I have screwed up a scope before as I was bringing the gun up and I breathed into that scope and fogged it. Well, unless you have see-through mounts, it would have been nice to have this fixed sight up here on the top. It also has the Picatinny on the sides. You could mount flashlight, laser, whatever else. And all of these are really quite easy to mount. You've got to put them onto the Picatinny or the smaller rail and then tighten these up to and make sure it's tight to put this onto your pistol airgun. This is a rather interesting CV Life product. It's a 1900 lumen flashlight, but it's not just a flashlight. And by the way, 1900 can blind you for 20 minutes. But if you look deep in there, you'll see that it's also got a laser too. And when left on, it can go about 2.5 hours. It mounts right to a Picatinny rail. And it is activated up here close, where your hand is, with the signal coming into the back of that. And you can turn it on permanently, you can just turn it on for moments, flash it, whatever you like. Another accessory from CV Life that I like are these bubblers that keep a scope level. Now you want to make sure that you've got the right diameter of hole and you want your scope level. You know, I've said it so many times before, but if you're going to hold the gun at an angle, you've taken those crosshairs and you've put them on a different place on that target or that animal. So when I shoot, I want that rifle totally vertical. I want a bubble leveler to tell me that it's level. And I think you'll recall one of my accuracy tips was it's very important that this finger learns to pull straight back, much like if you had a pencil and pulled it back. If you're going to just grab that trigger any way you want and pull it, you're going to pull your rifle, your pistol to the side. You do not want to do that. So pulling it straight back. This is about $100 minus the discount. I found this to be very, very nice. This is a rest. It can be for your hand. It can be for an air gun. It's $20, and then the discount on top of that. It comes in several different heights, as you can see here. One of the heights goes clear up to 15 inches. So if you're after turkey, I like to sit up next to a tree with my knees up and use one of these tall ones. I hope these accessories help you pursue your passion a little better, particularly the accuracy portion. Some of you hang on to these videos just to hear a couple of good jokes at the end, as if this warlock witch's hat isn't enough of a joke. But again, try wearing this for about 30 minutes of a video, and on the week of Halloween. Anyway, some friends have sent me some pretty good humor, and you probably struggle on your computer with or your phone with passwords, particularly if you have different passwords. And so this one I thought was funny. Just once, I want a computer username and password prompt to say to me, "Close enough." I would like that. And another one says that being an adult is probably the dumbest thing I've ever done. And lastly, not so much humor, but just some good advice. When you can't find the sunshine, you need to be the sunshine. Well, if you've got a comment, please leave it. Good or bad, I'll answer it. You can give us a thumbs up or thumbs down. That's how we know if these videos have any value to you. I've still got some shirts and hats at half price. You may want to take advantage of that. And remember, my whole function in these videos is to cut deals for you. So at CV Life, we've got a 15% discount. Up at Patriot Air Arms with Jacob Jennings, we don't have the discount, but we have a $250 suppressor with those handguns. And third, over here at the Water Blasters company called the T238. If you put down Russ 8, you get an 8% discount. I hope these help you. They're the only accessories that I want to spend any time on to help you understand them. Have a good week.